terminology like that anymore.
Maybe it's different in the UK, but that's what the literature here says. It defines it as a chromosome disorder, and it's kind of one of those things that, like, I mean, who cares what you call it?
Then transgender people have a chromosome disorder.
And what about gametes? Do gametes not play a role in this? You know, is that gametes? Do they not play a role in defining sex?
They have a huge role, yeah. Well, that's where your chromosomes come from.
So, if we can agree they play a role, then how do you think you can go from one sex to another and actually biologically change?
When you say what do you mean? Biologically change? Are you saying that you're changing your chromosomes from XX to XY?
They say trans men are real men. You've said this. Trans men are men. Trans women are women. That's something that you believe. If you believe that, then biologically you believe that they are that thing. So how do you deal with gametes?
Biological is different. Biology is like body parts. It's chromosomes. It's cells. It's the blood tests you were talking about.
What makes up whether we're men and women?
How much sodium you have in your body. That's biology. How your lungs work, how your intestines digest your food. That's biology. It's nothing to do with a person, their identity.
I mean, it only makes up every part of them.
It's what, sorry?
It makes up every part of them.
Yeah.
You know, like it is what makes you.
Not everybody's the same, Robbie, are they? And I don't think, you know.
No, they're not, but they have commonalities. So males and females have commonalities, and they're very different from one another. Like, one of the things that's driven me crazy that I honestly think has actually hurt your side's argument is this sort of like denial of reality that men and women are different, and that we have distinct biological advantages as males that females don't have, and women have different things with their bodies that we don't have. That's something that your average person sees, and the constant denial of that by people who are pro-transitioning has kind of driven a lot of normal people to say, you know what, this side over here sounds more rational.
Alert.
Like average people who are not super into this whole thing. They're just an average person out in society. They don't get too deep into this. They hear the two sides, the two different opinions, and when they hear somebody denying something that plainly we can all see, that like, look, I'm 6'2", I'm a bigger guy, I have distinct physical advantages over almost every female on the planet. Okay, there's very few.
Listen to you.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that there's these distinct advantages biologically that we just can't deny, right? Like, and when we deny it, we're not doing anything kind to anybody else.
What's it got to do with this? So you're 6'2", you're very tall, you're very strong.
If I identify, thank you. Thank you for calling me handsome. I appreciate that. No, but if you think about this, if we're willing to admit I have biological advantages, I should be nowhere near playing women's sports. If I wake up tomorrow and say I feel, I know, but if I say I feel like a woman,
you might be more in my camp, but you don't play women's sports.
If I wake up tomorrow and I say that I am one and I go sign up,
you're gonna wake up tomorrow, Robbie, and say because transgender people
I would agree. I would agree with you on that. I'm probably not going to. But I mean, look at Caitlyn Jenner, right? Caitlyn Jenner has said the same thing, that essentially it's not fair to have these.
You're going to bring out the 13-year-old detransitioner. You're going to bring out Caitlyn Jenner. You're going to make up somebody who wakes up tomorrow and wants a Brazilian 13 and goes to the doctor and says, I want a Brazilian butt lift or whatever it was you called it. Why can't we just talk about transgender people in general, right?
Can you give me an example?
Don't have success in they are disadvantaged because of society's attitude towards them, which is promoted by programs like this and your millions of viewers. They are disadvantaged. They're disadvantaged in relationships, in education, in job opportunities. Why aren't we debating that? Why aren't we debating how better to help people to enter education, get good jobs, win medals at sport?
We can agree on a number of things.
Because I'm much bigger than that.
We can agree on a number of things here. We should absolutely be providing better education to people. I think we would disagree on what that is. I think that we can both agree that people should be treated fairly. I think we have different ideas of what that looks like, though. And I think in general,
your views are, oh golly, it doesn't matter that trans people are not treated fairly, or they don't have access to education because their lives are really quite tricky because of
how do they not? Can you explain that? How do they not have access to education? Because the way that I see it here in the American public school system, it bends over backwards to try to please people who have this identity while telling others who are opposed to it that they're bigots.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm really, if your country really does do that, then I'm, hats off to your education system. If they really are singling out students that find school difficult because they're different, because they have an anomaly, because they have a chromosome disorder, as you call it, then my hat off to your education system.
Very few of people who identify as transgender have a core chromosome disorder.
Do you identify as male or female? Or non-binary.
However you want to say it. They say here all the time, people who say they're transgender, they say they identify as transgender. That happens all the time. So I'm using terminology that I hear from these people.
Okay, that's fine, but I'll just...
Here in the US, if you look at the school systems where this is happening the most, where it's championed, like in Davis, California, what happens is there is a pocket of kids, a hotbed of them identifying as either non-binary or transgender. That looks a lot like a social contagion.
I get it.
When you look at other areas. So how do you explain that?
Gender identities, then all of a sudden, the safety of that acceptance suddenly makes everyone trans. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that there's very clear signs of a social contagion, and this has been covered widely, even in papers like the New York Times, where they have essentially, had to concede this ground that there are these pockets that don't make sense. If you look, even in very liberal cities, where there's certainly not these anti-trans, bigots, as some of these people would refer to, right? These are people who generally have voted in alignment with these policies. There's some school systems that are not as, openly celebratory as others, but they're perfectly, quote, accepting in your view, and you don't see the same numbers. You see pockets of explosion that are built around social dynamics. So clearly, when I look at that, I say it is irresponsible to treat these kids and to give them lifelong
It's not cool, right? It's
treatment.
not cool. It's not easy. It's very difficult. Your gender identity is splashed across the newspapers. It's debated by people who have nothing to do with them at all. People like you and your platform. Being transgender is not a cool thing to be. And yet, all of a sudden,
2020 to 2024, it was.
Then everyone's going to do it. It's like saying, oh my God, if I go to the gay bar tonight, is that going to turn me gay? It doesn't. It doesn't. We know that.
No, I think if you're walking in the door there, you probably have some, ideas about what you like or not, right? But if you do look at America, I'm not an expert on that, so I can't. I'm gonna have to trust you on that one because I'm not an expert on it. But if you look back in time, right, 2020.
I think you'd be welcome there, though. I think the gay guys would enjoy you there. 2020
to 2024. I will say the log cabin Republicans, who are the gay Republicans, they seem to like my show and stuff, and they tend to agree with me on this issue, by the way. And so
I'm not sure it's your show that would go well in the gay club. I think it would be other attributes, but anyway.
So again, I appreciate you calling me handsome. It's very nice of you. But 2020 to 2024, it was actually seen as a cool thing in many American schools and American cities. After this election, that has changed dynamically. Young people trended right voting in a way that we haven't seen in my lifetime, and they're increasingly going that direction to the political right. And as you look at this now, what happened is as the social dynamic changed, they measured this at university and they found that the identification at some of these universities of being transgender or non-binary fell by almost half, okay, in 1 year. That tells you there's a social...
Why does it bother you, whether those students...
Well, that doesn't bother me. I'm quite happy that the social dynamic is changing and that people don't feel a social, incentive to do this. And I think that brings numbers down to...
What incentive what benefits did they have when they pretended to be trans?
The social incentive from 2020 to 2024 was they were getting increased attention. They were getting a focus and spotlight put on them. And in many cases, a lot of these kids, sadly, had contributing factors to go along with it where they had autism, right? So they're fixated on something. And you've seen experts in autism talk about this.
And now you're saying it's because it was autism. Wait, which one was it?
These autistic kids are more prone to falling into a social contagion.
We started on this.
These two things are connected. They're connected.
Social contagion.
They're connected. Many different types of autistic kids are more prone to a social contagion because of the fixations that they can have on what different people are
autistic, and then they were socially contagious, and then they turned trans, and then they decided they weren't trans. But bollocks.
No, I think you're trying to take a bunch of leaps that aren't there. In reality, this is very clear. I think that especially Americans who have lived...
That's the journey you just took me on.
No, I'm saying these things all exist as different components of something that built up into something that was definitely different from historical norms, okay? We didn't have anywhere near this number of young people identifying and saying that they were this other thing. And now that's changing again because the social dynamic has changed. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these changes happened as the pattern of what society...
Why is it so bothering to you? Like, these are other people. They're other people's lives.
Because people are being hurt.
Bothers you so much.
It's as simple as that. People are being hurt.
Millions of followers will love your views, and you'll get more clicks. Well, I don't understand. What's your beef? Why do you bother about? Where was the school?
Because innocent people are being hurt, and not enough people are standing up to protect them. I have daughters myself, and I want their spaces protected. I want them to feel safe when they're in a locker room. I want them to feel safe in a bathroom.
Are you one of those that are going to bring your daughters up to be scared of men?
I think that there is a reasonable expectation of privacy in private spaces for your private body.
I do think your daughter should be scared of men, a bit, or being in the same space as a man without someone to protect them. Is that how you bring your daughters up? I don't bring my daughter up like that.
I have brought my daughters up. Here, I'll answer your question. I'm bringing up my daughters to have a reasonable understanding of what a male is capable of in a setting where you are vulnerable. So if my daughter's in a vulnerable space in a locker room and there's somebody with a penis in there, a man, they're capable of doing something. This has happened in American schools where girls were raped by a guy with a penis who went in there and said they were trans. You're talking about somebody who was raped. In Virginia schools, this happened multiple times where they allowed a boy to go in there and he raped these girls by saying that he was trans, and that's how he was allowed in that space to be able to take advantage and rape that girl. That's horrific.
Do you say to your daughters, be careful if you are in a space with a male on their own, because that male might rape you? Is that the kind of message you give?
I mean,
or do we just say to people, and it doesn't have to be girls, it's anybody, because don't forget, boys get raped too. And that's the sad fact of life. Or
girls are disproportionately raped.
Don't go in a dark alley. Don't go somewhere where people can't see you, where you can't call for help if something bad was to happen. But we don't say to people, don't go near someone with
the conversation is protect yourself from vulnerable situations, right?
Yeah.
And vulnerable situations can look like girls have been raped in the locker room. So how can you say it's not a vulnerable situation?
Girls and boys have been raped everywhere.
Okay. We're talking about girls right now, though, and they face disproportionate numbers of rapes. Okay, so yes, boys are raped too. We're focusing on girls right now. I have daughters and sons.
I'm not singling out the girls.
I have daughters and sons. I'm singling it out because it happens more often. That's why. And here's the truth. By the way, I don't care. Here's the thing. I don't care if a female who identifies as male comes into the male bathroom. They pose no threat to me. Okay? That's why I'm focusing on girls and men who identify as trans. If a girl who identifies as male wants to go in the male bathroom, I honestly don't care because they pose no threat.
Go in the male bathroom.
Females
go in the male bathroom, thanks.
No, I'm saying if they're a girl who identifies as a male.
I beg your pardon.
So if they're
okay, so trans males, you mean?
I don't care if they're in the bathroom with me. They pose no threat to me. They pose no threat to me at all. So again, that goes back to the distinct biological advantages.
So strong, and you can overwhelm them, and that's really cool and amazing.
No, it's a very clear, easy biological fact that people can understand that men aren't generally afraid of that. Okay, so we're fine. I honestly don't care. I mean, send them in there. Okay, maybe that's actually the answer to the whole thing is just send them all in there because men are not seeing this as a threat, right? The focus is on females because they're the ones who are physically threatened. They're the ones who have been raped in these situations.
This image that we're creating, that we women fought for years to be treated as equals, and now we've got this narrative that
we've got men superseding them.
I'm not scared of men. So, and if somebody who has a penis comes into my locker room, I don't think you're going to rape me. But I tell you what, I don't go in dark alleys at night time, and I don't go into car parks on my own when there's no people around. That's what we should be teaching our daughters.
That's smart, but it's also smart not to be in a room where you're vulnerable and naked and there's somebody with a penis in the room. Because guess what? You always have a higher % chance of being raped if there is somebody naked in the same room you're naked and they are the opposing sex.
The majority of rapes happen in the home. In the home.
Again, this is irrelevant to the conversation.
You have someone with an orifice and someone with something that they can rape.
This is irrelevant to the situation we're talking about. There are disproportionate numbers you can point out in a bunch of different ways, but if you're exposing people to harm, we're talking about this specific harm and why it's an issue. So, I think women are fully entitled to feel like it is not safe, and that they just don't plain want to be exposed to somebody's penis. You're talking about many girls who are in this situation who have never seen a penis.
You're not going to win me over with transgender people who have a penis, who go into a female changing room, are to be seen as somebody as a threat because they have a body part that's different. And actually, you just told me a minute ago that they've got no sexual function anyway. And
no, again, that's not what I said. I said that there are a large number. I said that there are a large number that can, and it's specifically about Tanner Stage 2. If they're given treatment during Tanner Stage 2,
you're a puberty expert now.
If they're given the treatment, no, I'm actually talking, these are the words of Marcy Bauer, who is with WPATH, by the way, is a transgender surgeon who identifies as trans, and they've done a bunch of these surgeries, okay? So I'm not using my words. This isn't speculative on my part. This is that person from the very organization that you touted as an expert organization who has admitted that there is a loss of sexual function and ability to orgasm as adults in that group.
They've got no sexual function. They're not going to get an erection. They can't do rape.
That's not true. There's AGP people. That's not true. There's people who have sexual disorders where they are sexually aroused by the idea of being a woman and dressing up as one and being in the space with other women. There's all kinds of different sexual proclivities that are out there and weird and result in these weird situations. And not everybody gets treatment in Tanner Stage 2.
It's a transgender woman who has a sexual fetish that she gets off on being in a changing room with other women.
You're acting like this is crazy, but anybody can look this up. They're all over the internet. Anybody who's been on social media has seen these people. They're all over the place.
Social media, that's
they're probably the worst representatives you could possibly ever ask for.
Social media, come on.
It's reality. These people exist. You can't go through life pretending that they don't exist. These are real people. They exist. Women have experienced these things.
I'll tell you the real people who exist. The real people, before we wind up, are the transgender community who suffer greatly from views like yours that are projected wildly, that portray them as dangerous people who rape women, who have sexual dysfunction, who have fetishes growing as fancying being in the same space as a woman with their penis hanging out. Honestly, those are the people that are hurt, and that's reality.
Have you ever in your practice come across a child that you would not transition because you felt that it was not appropriate, that they were mentally not of sound mind?
Well, you would never, mentally not of sound mind. If someone has a severe mental illness...
One case, have you come across one where you said, no, we're not going to give you transition drugs because there's a mental issue here and we're going to treat that instead? Or do you always affirm?
No, you treat every single patient differently. Have I had patients when I was practicing as a doctor in the UK? Have I had patients that I've said, listen, let's do a little bit more work, explore a little bit more. Let's find out what the best thing for you. Many, because that's the right way to doctor.
Did you end up giving drugs to all of them, or did some of them not transition?
No, but the majority of people who come are transgender people who didn't wake up yesterday wanting a Brazilian butt lift. They identified as transgender for many, many years and now are taking steps to transition. It's really very simple.
Tell me this, you're coming to America.
Saves lives.
You're coming to America. What does the process look like? What do you think is a reasonable process that is enough time for you to investigate as a doctor, for doctors to investigate these issues and to decide to prescribe the drugs?
What time? Do you want seconds, minutes, hours? These people have been you've heard of coming out, right? You come out of the closet, come out of hiding, yeah. But before you come out, you come in. You spend years exploring your identity, wondering how it's going to affect you, wondering if you take those steps, is society going to accept you, or are you going to be considered as how you describe transgender women, as a danger and a fetish and what have you, which is so damaging. These are real people. And actually the best person to understand their own identity is that person themselves, not you, not me. My job as a doctor is simply to help them make the right decision and live their best life without harm, and also how to protect their mental health from people like you.
Do you think parents should have a say?
Parents should all, hopefully we've got supportive parents who do good parenting and don't teach their children that men are a danger, but anyway, I think parents have a role. Parents have a role in absolutely everything. Not all parents are fantastic parents, and some kids don't get that.
So if a parent says, let me ask you this, because this has been a contentious subject, if a parent says, they have a daughter who says they identify as transgender, they want to be a male, and they say
if they have a transgender son, you're going to lose me with your twisted language.
Just try to follow along, because I may not have the perfect language in your mind, but I'm trying to get you to answer a very clear scenario, right? Because I want to understand what the mindset is in terms of parents and their role. So if that situation happens and they say, Cindy, we love you, we don't want you to be distressed about your gender identity, they understand that there's confusion going on, we want to get you talk therapy, but we're not going to refer to you as he, him, we are not going to give you a different name, we're not going to move into this process of getting puberty blockers and all that. We believe that therapy is the best route. Do you believe that those parents should suffer adverse action, they should have their child taken, that the state should take over and give that child more treatment?
I don't think the state should take children away unless they are at a danger, and some children are at a danger from their parents. But that's quite an extreme.
Do you
case.
agree that no, that's not extreme. Actually, that's actually the normal response.
The bit that bothers me more is the first bit, not the taken away by the state, but the first bit when you've got your child coming to you and saying, "Dad, I've got something to tell you. You may not like it, you may not understand it, but I need you to help me with this." And I know that you thought that you had a daughter, but actually, I'm a male. Now, that first interaction, that first response from those parents is crucial. Because what you're saying is, the scenario you gave me is where they're saying, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're a girl. And that you're denying that child.
They gave a very loving response. I love you. God didn't make any mistakes on you. You're perfect. You're perfect the way you are. And I want to get you the therapy that clearly you need to, be given so that you have time and space to talk about this.
Listening to this, right, who have children who are saying to them, please will you listen to me, because I'm trying to tell you that I'm transgender, please will you listen to me and help me with this. And if there are parents listening to this, trust me, please support your child. Okay, this isn't a mental illness. Don't stick them into the conversion therapy to say no, don't.
Wait, how could wait, hold up. How can we call this conversion therapy?
That's what you just saw. You told me. Well, you gave me the best definition of conversion therapy there is. You said she says she wants to turn into a boy, and the parent says, no, I'll take you to therapy for your mental illness. That's what you told. That's what you said.
And you think that's conversion therapy? Okay, conversion therapy to me sounds like, yes, Cindy, I know you were born a girl, but I'm going to tell you that your delusion you can be a male is totally real, and I'm going to try to help convert you to be a male. I think gender affirming care is telling Cindy there was no mistake made on her, that she's perfect the way she is, and that we want to help her get to a place where she sees how wonderful she is the same way we do.
Do you remember we used to do it with gay children and say, Dad.
You don't understand. With gay children, what they were saying is, we're going to, no. If you're starting from square one and you say somebody's gay and you say you want to change them to straight, then you're describing a conversion, right? If you have somebody who is a biological female and they say they want to be a male and you change them, you are describing a conversion. That's conversion therapy. What you're doing, gender affirming care. Okay, we can wind up, but gender affirming care is telling that child that there is nothing wrong with them, that they are wonderful, that they are perfectly made, and that you're going to help them get to a place where they can see that. That is gender affirming care.
Okay, Dr. Starbuck, gender specialist specializing in gender affirming care. That's your view, and it's very harmful.
As we wrap up, tell me this. In America, what is your goal? Why are you coming here when the mood of Americans is one that is trending increasingly towards saying this is dangerous, this is wicked, it's evil, it's mutilating
I'm not talking to those Americans. I'm not coming over to
those Americans write the laws. So, I mean, I would probably try to figure out a coherent argument.
That's exactly my point, because you don't get transgender people in high positions because of the difficulties that they face in life.
Well, no, it's because the populace recognizes the mental illness and they don't want to elect somebody who's disordered and has a mental illness.
The International Classification of Diseases, that the World Health Organization 11 has declassified it. It's not a mental illness.
The World Health Organization also told us that COVID was totally natural, and they also told us we needed to stay 6 feet away from each other, mask ourselves, and keep ourselves inside, so we were, sequestered away from the dangerous oxygen. Okay, so I think that the WHO is probably a bad group to use as your expert. Okay,
it's all we've got. And they have classified it as not a mental illness. So, Dr. Starbuck, you can be classified as a mental illness.
I'm very happy the mentally ill people at the WHO say that it's not mental illness, because that probably just further affirms my point that it is. And so, what is your goal here?
No, I think I need to wrap up.
This is last question. What is your goal in America?
The last one was the last question.
No, well, you didn't answer it, which was, what is your goal in America? What do you want to do?
I want to
does
make
success look like?
gender-affirming care accessible to as many transgender people who want to access it.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Helen. I think that what you're doing is wicked. I think it's honestly like barbaric on the same level.
20 years' time,
I think it's on the same level as child sacrifice, and I think that humanity is going to look back on it the way we look at child sacrifice, and I think people like you are going to look like absolute villains. I really do. I will pray for you, though. I will pray for you because, Helen, I believe that nobody is too far gone to be saved, and so I will pray for you, because what I have just heard throughout this interview can only be described as deep wickedness. So I wish you well, and I'll be surprised if Gender GP is actually able to get off the ground in America, because I don't think our lawmakers are going to take kindly to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for having me on.
So there you have it. A medical model that denies long-term safety data, so-called treatments that are so irreversible, European nations are even banning or severely restricting them. A treatment, if you can even call it that is so dangerous, many states here in the US have banned it. This is a clinical approach that relies on kids, some as young as 9 or even younger, making decisions they can't possibly understand. If Helen's right, waiting might cause discomfort. But if she's wrong, kids are going to lose fertility, sexual function, and healthy body parts that they can never get back. And in medicine, when the evidence is weak, when the risks are permanent, when the patient is a child, we don't push forward, we slow down. So this interview isn't about politics, it's about protecting kids from irreversible harm. And until the science is solid, until the evidence is strong in any facet, kids always deserve our protection, especially on this issue, not experimentation at the hands of profiteers. As always, do the right thing, let God lead you, fight the good fight, and I'll see you next time.
Damn, he kicked her ass, huh? The range doctors. They put on another podcast. Can't play music anymore because like YouTube freaks out. Like I already got like channel warnings and shit for just just doing like regular like techno music and stuff. And YouTube does not like it. Let me see. Alright, let me find a podcast here real quick. Oh my god. Somebody bought the $40,000 ship and where wins meat? Generosity. Let me go to my hold on. Let me go to my channel.
Hi, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Philosophy Insights.
In this video, Professor Tom DiLorenzo, an economics professor with 32 years of experience, including nearly 3 decades at Loyola University, shares a rare insider's perspective on why modern universities are failing.
You know, when with the worldwide collapse of socialism in the late 80s and early 90s, the Marxist left did not just throw in the towel. I remember at the time I was at the University of Tennessee, and there was a Marxist economist on the faculty, and I ran into him in the parking lot. Right in the middle of all this happening, with Boris Yeltsin bombing the Russian parliament and things like that. And I said, John, what are you going to do now? Bricklayer? Carpenter? What's the future for you? And he said, oh, no, we're stronger than ever now because we're no longer associated with all these bad guys, Ceausescu and Stalin and all that. And so after all this, the Marxist left took two different routes. They didn't give up. One is they paid attention to the socialist economist Robert Heilbronner, who wrote an article in the New Yorker magazine in 1990, I think it was October 1990, in which he said, yeah, socialism, Mises was right. One of the articles he wrote was actually called, the title was Mises was right about socialism. And so you would think that meant give up on socialism, but no. He said we need to work harder at it. Because it always was about totalitarian control. It never was about helping the poor, or helping the laboring class, or anything like that. So it was always about control. And so how do we reassert our control over people's lives? He said, well, socialism was always sold in the name of helping the people. And he essentially said, people schmeeple, the hell with the people. We're for the bugs and the ants and the snakes and all that stuff, the planet. So let's sell socialism now in the name of saving the planet. And so hence the watermelons were born. The watermelons were green on the outside, red on the inside. And so there's a branch of the Marxist left that all became environmentalists all of a sudden. And they're promoting basically centrally planned economies under socialism under the guise of saving the planet. The other branch became cultural Marxists. They gave up on the old class struggle between the working class and the capitalist class, and they invented some new classes. There's the oppressor class and the oppressed class. The oppressors are white heterosexual males, and the oppressed class is everybody else. Pretty much, the whole victim thing, and so that's a good way to eliminate dissent and exert totalitarian control over society. And so we have those two classes. Now, I've been a university economics professor since 1979. I finished my PhD when I was 24, and I've been at it ever since. And for about the first 30 years of my career, every August, the university administration, and I've taught at 7 different universities, every university administration would send out a memo about what the average SAT score is of the incoming freshmen. And they would usually brag that it's up 10 points or something like that. And it would usually be accompanied by a promise that we're going to increase the standards even more so that we'll have better qualified students. And of course, the faculty like this, to hear this. And that went on for about 30 years of my career, year in, year out, the bragging about how, the higher SAT scores. And then about 6 years ago, at my current employer, Loyola University, Maryland, they all of a sudden said, we're no longer requiring SAT scores at all as the entrance requirement. They did away with them. And the result of that, I noticed it's been successful because in the website, the university website this year, in August, instead of giving us any information about the academic qualifications of the incoming freshman class, it said, the incoming freshman class is the most diverse class in the history of the college. And so that's the objective. And so egalitarianism has become the new secular religion in the academic seminaries where you send your children and grandchildren. And diversity, I think of the word diversity, this is basically some sort of quotas, is really, I call it the mating call of the academic administrators in today's world. When the cultural Marxists took over my university about 10 years ago, the new president came in and he started giving the president's message, started saying things like bemoaning the unequal distribution of resources around the world all of a sudden. And so, from each according to his ability to each according to his need is his motto. His name is Brian Lenane. And his academic vice president, who's the top academic officer of the university, when he had his first meeting with the business school faculty where I teach, he looked around the room and he said, there are too many people in here who look like me. Too many white guys, in other words. And the minority faculty were extremely uncomfortable about that. I was looking at my minority colleagues, and they were like, didn't know where to hide. Because what he was basically saying was he was telling people like me, you don't really belong here because you're here because of white privilege. And also he was telling the minority faculty, well, maybe you don't belong here either because you're here from affirmative action. You know, you don't really belong there. You know, and so I think that's why one of the reasons why they seem so uncomfortable. And then he announced that diversity would be his #1 goal in his reign as academic vice president. So that's become the sort of the #1 objective of a lot of universities. More than academics or learning, education, schmeducation is the attitude some of these people seem to have when they do that. That's why, I did call it the mating call of academic administrators in an article on LouRockwell.com referring to this guy. Tim Snyder is his name, Timothy Snyder. And he's no longer the academic vice president of my university. He's done his thing. And so silencing dissent is now praised and taught. It's taught to students and it's praised as the morally right thing to do. A lot of my students are totally unaware of the argument for free speech and academic freedom. And one person who's responsible for this, and this really starts I think in the 60s, as a lot of bad things started in the 60s. And there's an academic who's described on the web variously as the evangelist of cultural Marxism. He's also called a celebrated intellectual who taught at Harvard, Yale, and Columbia. His name is Herbert Marcuse, Marcuse. And he really is sort of one of the gurus of political correctness among the academic elite that run most of today's universities in the United States. And how did he become a celebrated intellectual? Well, he wrote a 1955 book called Eros and Civilization, in which he advised young people the following, and I quote, "Don't work, have sex." And I guess it never occurred to him that the two things are not mutually exclusive at all. But so it's idiocy like this that makes you a celebrated intellectual at Harvard, I guess. And he also denounced the scientific method and science. He said science and the scientific method are the enemy. He called it, quote, the enemy because, quote, it denies the reality of utopia. And by utopia, he meant communism. He was a communist. He was a self-described communist. And so it denies the reality of communism. Well, it sure does, especially economic science. Mises' great book, Socialism, explained that a long, long time ago. Socialism could never work as an economic system. Okay, he opposed freedom of speech and academic freedom for the same reason, that it produced too many criticisms of communism. And so let's just shut everybody up about this and only give our students positive images of it. And it reminds me, at my university, I created a new course called Capitalism and Its Critics. It was my way of sneaking Austrian economics into the curriculum. And it's been around, I've had it for about 10 years now, this course. And I use sometimes I've used the Communist Manifesto. I teach the students, here's what the bad guys have said, and then here's what Mises says about this sort of thing. So I go back and forth. Here's what the environmental lunatics say, and here's George Reisman over here, something like that. And so when I use the Communist Manifesto, I had a student tell me, please, this is the 5th time I've been assigned the Communist Manifesto at this university. But all his other professors in philosophy and history use it as sort of a roadmap to the future. I use it as a historical artifact, and but the other people said, wouldn't it be nice if we had a society like this? This student told me what his philosophy professor said, and so too many criticisms. He also said this: there's no need for logic, debate, and free exchange of ideas, for Marxism provides the answers.
As Professor DiLorenzo's experience shows, the challenges facing universities today are not accidental. They're a result of decades of shifting priorities and growing bureaucracy. For more discussions like this, subscribe and hit the bell.
You can't make a man into a woman. You can't get a piece of paper or certificate or just pretend or wish you were otherwise. Biology is fact. We presume falsely that everyone who's trans must be a transsexual. The ones who really get off on being in women's spaces are the fetishistic transvestites.
The people with AGP that get sexually aroused by imagining
having a vagina whilst masturbating their penis.
We're going there, aren't we?
State-sanctioned child abuse. These are childhood experiments. A lot of them will just be gay.
Let's give you some therapy before you go and get your dick chopped off.
They have a new diagnostic category called eunuch gender. Boys who identify as eunuchs, and the recommended treatment is to have a physical castration. There's no lower age limit. Yes, there's madness, but the madness isn't located in the transsexual. The madness is located in the people around them, like the Emperor's New Clothes. I think what's really disturbing is when you see biological men going through the motions of breastfeeding a newborn infant.
And what about the transition, the process from a woman to a man?
Well, that's worse.
How could it possibly be worse?
I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Gold Seal. I use their products every single day, and now I finally get to work with them. I use their products for anti-inflammatory, reduced anxiety, better sleep.
The Three Musketeers were actually beneficial heroes, and these three were not very beneficial in terms of what they did to create sort of a big mess in terms of what was going on with transsexualism in particular, and some other things as well. But it was an experiment on human beings that was perpetrated by John Money and Harry Benjamin to essentially say that you could change one's sex hormonally and physically, and that person then would not only identify but would be biologically functional as the opposite sex. None of that has been true ever, and to this day, it is. I mean, it's been refuted by so much science that it should be the norm that everyone believes in. You cannot be born in the wrong body. There is no such thing as that, even though it's been stated emphatically by the founders of the transgender clinics in the Netherlands. So WPATH was a fancier name for the Harry Benjamin Society. It sounds very scientific. World Professional Association of Transgender Health. Okay. Well, first of all, transgender is not very healthy. Okay. The concept of being born in the wrong body is a terrible concept of unhappiness at the core of that human being's existence. And so to call that a health situation it's just a misnomer across the board. So, but because it sounded scientific, people looked at that with the same degree of respect as, say, the American Medical Association or the American Psychiatric or Psychological Associations, the American Academy of Pediatrics, a large international consortium of academics, thought leaders who put together, after reviewing the entirety of the world's medical literature on the subject, put together what they called standards of care. And indeed, that's not at all what WPATH has ever been. Okay, it is based on the opinions of people who were ever so hopeful that their ideas would stick, that they could try on things for size on human beings.
I saw a cop yesterday. He called the same lady,
run through years and years of it, and see what comes out the other end of the meat grinder. And what they proposed was that this was happiness. You put a patient in on one end, you went through the process of social transitioning, medical transitioning, and then finally surgical transitioning, and out the other end of that pipeline comes a functioning, happy, sexually functional human being. Okay, and the answer is absolutely not. There are so many roadblocks.
Then that lady was like, I forgot that he can do that as well, LMAO.
And it pretended that they were using scientific guidelines and publications to verify that these processes were beneficial. And what they depended on mostly was anecdotal reports and, surveys of, 25,000 answers that were called into an online survey, the Transgender Health Survey, to say this represents 25,000 individuals who are, giving their scientific information, none of it face-to-face, none of it personal, all of them perhaps a fantasy and a belief that this is where I am and this is what I want to be, and this made me all better. But nobody could verify that. No one had a baseline mental health evaluation. No one had an intervention and then an outcome that was documented. So they called these standards of care, and they went through their 8th iteration about a year and a half ago. They are not standards of care. They are guidelines proposed by people who were ideologues. So therefore, it sort of fits into the cult situation because there is no real basis that's reproducible, and it's never been reproducible. It has been reviewed by so many systemic reviews worldwide to show that there is absolutely no biologic basis to the concept of an incongruent gender identity, that there is no mental health benefit that is sustainable by any of the interventions, social transition, medical transition, or surgical transition. And that, in fact, there turns out to be the medical adverse side effects of cross-sex hormones in large doses, non-physiologic doses. And then, on top of that, sterility and anorgasmia, because the sexual organs have been surgically manipulated to the point where they have that. They may look really great, but they don't function. So you're taking away sexual function, and you're adding on top of that all the complexities of hormones that don't belong in that body, creating those things.
Just on that, there's so much there, but one thing from the self-report, so I've always thought, this self-report thing, there's so much self-deception that you can't really trust self-report. You've done this to yourself, the power of irrevocability, you can't go back, so you're going to deceive yourself into believing that you're happy. But there's I don't know if you've seen that study from the Dutch, where they followed up some of the earliest kids that went through the puberty suppression experiment. And, these kids had puberty blockers and hormones and then the vaginoplasty. And then they asked them after the fact in their 20s, are you able to orgasm? And about 70% say yes. And I just think, how do these kids even know what an orgasm is? If they didn't have one before their puberty was blocked, they had hormones and then they had their penis inverted. How does the kid even know that they're having an orgasm?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a question, again, of self-fulfilling without actually having them sit down with an interviewer, a urologist, okay, or a gynecologist, and say, okay, what do you experience as an orgasm? What does it mean to you? How do you feel? How does your body feel? What is the order in which this happens? How do you stimulate yourself to the point of an orgasm? Okay, and that, I think those are questions they very likely couldn't answer because they'd never experienced it. But they read that they're supposed to have them, and therefore they say they have them. I mean, again, self-reporting as opposed to a really critical, an analytic, physical circumstance. The way that urologists look at adult males and say, you're having problems with erectile dysfunction, let's quantify that medically. And they do. They actually have a scale of quantification of ability to maintain an erection and to ejaculate. And that's missing. Okay, that's just, do you have an orgasm? Yeah, I have an orgasm. No. It's let's go down to the science of it and really get into the details. And it's very personal, but it's very important. You can't report that there's benefit and no handicap if you haven't really asked the questions correctly.
Do you remember your first kind of arguments with WPATH or the HBI, or whatever they were called, the Harry Benjamin? Do you remember when you first questioned them and said, well, what are you guys doing? Because it doesn't feel very scientific.
Well, what happened is that I had a patient in 1993. It was a biologic male who came into my office, and confidentially, the parents told my office manager, who was the only other person that knew, that this person who looked like a girl, who's dressed like a girl with long hair and with a female name, was actually a biologic male. They had sort of pre-called and said, well, how do we do the medical records? Can we keep this chart separate so that no one has access to it accidentally? And they said they had just moved from California. It was a military family, and this boy had felt he was born in the wrong body. He went to a psychiatrist in Los Angeles, close by where Dad was stationed in the military, And the psychiatrist said, oh, yeah, he's transsexual. And you want to go ahead. You're going to be moving to a new duty station where no one knows you. This is the perfect time to go ahead and address him as a girl, let him take on a female name, and just pretend that he's female. But now he's in puberty, so he's probably going to need some estrogen to make his breasts grow. And so this lands on my doorstep in 1993.
Oh.
And I had not had any experience with any transsexuality at all in children ever in my fellowship. Okay, we had John Money's experiments on little kids who had ambiguous genitalia that were disastrous. That was behind us at that point in time, but we knew of that. But John Money had his clinic with adults, where he had a good dozen adults who he helped transition in appearance medically and surgically. And that was reviewed by Dr. Paul McHugh when he came in to take over the Department of Psychiatry at Hopkins. And they said, we're not going to continue to do this if there's no benefit. And so he made one of the fellows review all of the mental health issues and found out there was zero improvement in mental health. Therefore, the program was stopped. So that's the background I had in mind when this 13-year-old boy comes into my office. So I called up my mentors at Hopkins, who had, by this time, some of them had scattered around different parts of the country. And I said, what am I supposed to do here? I mean, I have no experience. What would you suggest? They said, we have no experience. No one is doing anything like this. This is unheard of. There are no guidelines. You could possibly look up the Harry Benjamin Society guidelines and see what they say. Well, they didn't have anything to do with children back then. This was all just adults.
What age was this kid?
He was 13. Okay.
Wow.
So I talked to our legal advisor for our medical practice, and I said, this family is demanding that I start this child on estrogen. And I said, I don't have any means to protect myself from, adverse side effects in a medical malpractice suit. But he said, all right, we're going to write you an informed consent for what you do know about this and what we know about, which is nothing, and say that the parents take the responsibility of any side effects from the estrogen because it's an unknown quantity, that it will cause breast development in this boy, but we don't know what it will do to his testicular function. We didn't have puberty blockers to use at that point in time. They were not on the horizon as a routine. So I sort of laid out a gentle progress of some estrogens and treatments to start. And after about 3 months, he had developed a little bit of breast budding, which is not uncommon in adolescent boys anyway, at that age. And then the family upped and moved to the Washington, D.C. area. And so I contacted my pediatric endocrine colleagues in the military healthcare system that I had known before to say, he's coming to the D.C. area. He's going to come to Walter Reed, to your office, and this is what we've done, and this is the signed form that I've used to kind of protect myself from any adverse response in the future. And the child never showed up at the clinic, and I have no idea what ever happened to the child. But that just tells you the infancy of transgender issues in children. It was, no one knew. I mean, nobody had any idea in the pediatric endocrine world anywhere about what to do with this child. None. Now, you hear stories, we've been doing hormone treatments here in Texas and there in California for years and years and years and years. I don't know of any cases that were ever published. I don't think they were any published. There were claims that this had happened and this was had been successful. But when I went to the academic centers, they kind of looked askance at it and said, this isn't done. This is not ethical. And this is not what we would ever recommend. Okay, so that's just 1993. You fast forward, to where we are today, and it's the mainstream. It's the cause célèbre. It's of course you will do this. If you don't, you're horrible, transphobic, and a bigot and a hater. And so that just left an indelible mark on me to say this has never been right. Never been right from the beginning. And then in 2000 was when the Dutch Protocol for Children was sort of conceptualized and put into place. And it's interesting in reading the deconstruction of that, the article with Leo Sapir and I think who else? Stephen Levine, I think, was an author.
Oh, yeah.
On that one, that looked at the house of cards that protocol was, and how they self-selected people who and sort of left out the data on people that didn't fit the picture, and came up with statistics that looked beneficial, and yet that's not how science is done. Okay, and again, it smacked of exactly what WPATH was up to, which was creating a myth of scientific validity to something that really had absolutely none.
Yeah, the article you're referring to is The Myth of Reliable Research. It's my favorite academic article on the subject. When I read that, I learned so much from it about how deeply methodologically flawed this experiment was. But you're a pediatric endocrinologist, so when they were doing it before this article, like when they first started doing it, did alarm bells ring? Did you think, my goodness, something is way off about this? And were you talking about it and nobody was listening?
There wasn't enough details. It was not transparent as to what was going on. Just like all the transgender clinics across this nation, there is no transparency. When you ask for details, you get some scant numbers. I know that the national survey by U.S. News and World Report magazine of best hospital systems, best healthcare systems, has labeled, in the children's hospitals, one of the point raisers that you get to get a higher score on your endocrine subdivision is how many transgender patients you treat each year. And so, I was, the data from my private practice was being used in the conglomerate data for the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta data set. And so I was there at the meeting where we discussed this. And the first year that they asked that question, I think they maybe had 5 patients that they had enrolled in their clinic. And within 2 years, it was up to 75 or 80 patients that they had enrolled in the clinic. And again, that just shows you it was an image of exactly what was going on nationwide, where the cult was catching on the internet and dragging kids in larger and larger numbers to this horrific circumstance of mutilation and hormonal side effects that were, in many cases, irreversible.
GenSpec's Bigger Picture Conference Series returns for its 4th landmark international event this September, the 27th and 28th, Saturday and Sunday, in Albuquerque in New Mexico. This time, we're not just analysing problems, we're shaping the solution. We're looking for a way forward, and we've chosen the best speakers, the best leading thinkers of our generation to discuss how we can move the dial. With the theme Live Not by Lies, Conversation for a Culture in Crisis, this year's conference tackles one of the most urgent challenges of our time: how to speak truth in the face of conformity, confusion, and institutional pressure. As the politicisation of sex and gender continues to divide societies and derail thoughtful discourse and destroy loving and engaged families, this groundbreaking counterpoint to WPATH brings together the world's leading thinkers, clinicians, policymakers, lawyers, politicians, and psychologists to forge a path that is ethical, evidence-based, and grounded in reality. Abigail Schreier will expose the hidden consequences of bad therapy. Dr. Lisa Littman will present her latest groundbreaking research. Lionel Shriver lays bare how society's fixation on trans identity distorts truth and undermines fundamental freedoms. Peter Boghossian will present Truth Over Lies, Bold Conversations in a Fractured Culture. Dr. Patrick Lappert will discuss the impact of trans surgery, while Dr. Quinton Van Meter will discuss the impact of hormones. Following defining events in Killarney, Ireland, in Denver, Colorado, in Lisbon, Portugal, we're now coming to Albuquerque in New Mexico. This is more than just a conference, it's a call to action. Join us for 2 days of unflinching honesty, rigorous evidence, and solution-focused collaboration. It's time to move the dial, and you need to be in the room. Visit genspec.org to secure your place.
Right, but instinctively, did the use of those drugs combined with the hormones to treat a psychiatric disorder, vaguely poorly defined psychiatric disorder, did anything strike you as being completely mad?
Well, all of it just struck me as being completely mad because, here in the endocrine world, we have endocrinology's been around, as a subspecialty for a long time. And what we learn in endocrinology is that when the hormones are off balance, if they're the wrong hormones, okay, if there are excessive androgens, which are classified as a male hormone, but it's the adrenal gland in the female that can produce those. And the testosterone comes from the testicle, and adrenal hormones come from the adrenal gland in males. Those virilize the body, okay? And if it's a female body, it starts doing damage. It increases the risk of heart disease significantly, okay? It also gives the appearance of facial hair. It makes menses irregular. It ends up setting up the endometrium for cancers because of irregular menses and overstimulation with the hormones that don't really physiologically belong to that body. And so we have disease states that we've known about for 100 years that we've been treating so that those things don't happen, so that the women don't have to be at risk, health risk for these things. So these are natural phenomenon where the hormone levels that we're talking about are probably 1/10 of what they're creating with the so-called replacement hormones that are recommended by the transgender advocates to treat these kids with. So we know it causes disease. We know that estrogen significantly increases stroke risk. So in males who are overproducing estrogen, we go find the source and get rid of it because that increases prostate cancer, it increases breast cancer, it increases stroke risk in males. So why would we, if we know that we have moderately elevated levels of these hormones that don't belong physiologically to that body, why would we even consider as an option throwing gigantic tenfold increases over those amounts into the wrong body and expect that we're going to have something beneficial happen?
And
it's just absolutely unconscionable.
Okay. And combined with puberty blockers, which are also just massively powerful drugs. I know we want to talk about John. We want to go back to John Money, I think. But can I just ask? You are a pediatric endocrinologist, and you treat precocious puberty. Am I correct? You've done research in that area. Because I'm in Canada, and we have this. The mainstream media refuses to let go of the puberty blockers are fully reversible. It's a fully reversible pause. And I was just curious, in precocious puberty, in the pediatric endocrinology world outside of gender medicine, are puberty blockers considered reversible for precocious puberty?
What we have is data that's now probably 20 years post-treatment to look at infertility and malignancies and genetic mishaps in the offspring of women who have been suppressed for a couple of years, sometimes maybe 3 years, in very young childhood. And it basically comes away with no sustainable signals, but it's a small population. The study that they're looking at are like 45 women. Okay, that's it. That's not the hundreds and hundreds that get treated. And so, as happens a lot in clinical research, to look at the safety and efficacy of an intervention, it was very effective in stopping puberty from progressing for two reasons that were valid. One, it preserved height potential, because if a girl starts into puberty at age 6, her final height outcome is going to be drastically different. Perhaps not even reach anything close to 5 feet or 4'10" or 4'7", okay? And she'll be menstruating in the first grade, which is a social disaster. I mean, so yes, there's some social aspects of it, but the idea was let us, if we can safely pause that, put it in for a little while, and then plan to take it away so that the natural process of returning to the normal physiologic function occurs, and the girl begins her periods right around 12 and a half years of age, like everybody else around her would normally. It certainly preserves some height. It's not the panacea for that, but that was the purpose of it. But the underlying cause of precocious puberty in females is usually never found. I mean, it's just there's nothing anatomically. It just happens. They're dissecting out the genome and looking for signaling sequences that are. It's kind of a fascinating thing in the new world of molecular genetics to figure out what causes this trigger to happen early, what sends the signal to get. But that is just, you know, that may be solved and can be a better way of figuring out how to stop the process. But in males, it more often is due to a central nervous system tumor or some disruption of the anatomy in the area of the pituitary gland. So although it's not all that common, it's much more common in males than females. So it's you want to stop the puberty, you want to get the kid back in sort of into the fold, but you don't want to continue that, because if you do that during the adolescent years, when the brain is expecting to see puberty, when the body is expecting to bring calcium into the skeleton from dietary intake and natural vitamin D production, that if you block it, then you have irreversible damage. And that's admitted. Yeah, okay, bone density, schmone density, who cares? You know, fractures, osteoporosis, whatever. That's not happening now. We're really, you know, they're kids. We want to make sure they're happy as kids, and we'll deal with that later. But what we do know now, there was a beautiful article in a journal of clinical endocrinology and metabolism. Actually, I think I have a copy of it here, called GnRH, which is gonadotropin releasing hormone, and cognition. And this paper, which was in endocrinology in
and just for our audience, GnRH is puberty blockers. Keep going.
Puberty blocker. Yep. And it says that cognitive brain function is totally dependent on the uninhibited natural progression of release of the brain telling the hypothalamus telling the pituitary to get puberty started, and that dementia is an outcome when this is disrupted. Okay, I mean, solid science. Okay, saying that you are basically messing with brain development when you block puberty.
And this is interesting though. You're messing with it when you block puberty at the natural time when the body is supposed to go through. In a healthy adolescent who is gearing up, probably already has started puberty as well. They normally have started, and then you block it. That's when all of the problems are arising.
And then, you know, if you never let them have their natural gonadotropin releasing hormone process go forward, then you're essentially going to end up putting their brain at risk for maldevelopment in certain areas. So we know that. Yes, Sally, you had a question.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know, but Jen Spector, I certainly intend to send it to you to get your signature on it. We created a memorandum of understanding to protect the role of puberty in adolescence. And the idea was that, like, we need to treasure the fact that this is a very important process that people need to go through in adolescence, that it's a specific process for a specific time. So you're singing my song very much, but I think people don't quite pause enough on the concept of when you pause puberty, you're effectively freezing the body at a certain crucial point of development. And not only that, you're like you said, you're kind of freezing their brain, because the brain should be complexifying in these adolescent years. But when the child whose puberty has been paused, and then some years later they go on to cross-sex hormones, they never actually go into biological puberty. So they're kind of a chemically induced adult. This isn't somebody who's actually gone through puberty. I don't think this is highlighted enough. We have highlighted it with our memorandum of understanding, but it's such an important point.
The idea of pushing the pause button, which is sort of the cute catchphrase, it is a railroad freight train full speed going into cross-sex hormones. 98% of kids that block puberty go into cross-sex hormones. Freely admitted in the big Kaiser review. Emory did a review locally. One of their authors said, "Isn't it wonderful that we were able to? These kids got the hormones they really wanted, and that means that they really needed them, and we did the right thing." Well, the answer is no. You stand back about 30,000 feet and look at what you've done. You're admitting freely that you basically screwed up these kids irreparably. You never gave them true puberty. And that fries the gonads. The gonad never developed, so the ovary and testicle remain much more primordial in their existence. They never, and we don't have data saying that if you do this and use cross-sex hormones, that they can come back, that their function is there. There are random, anecdotal cases, unstudied, no hormone levels, just case reporting. Oh, I got pregnant, as a biologic female trans male. I came off my hormones and got pregnant and delivered a baby. there's no, that's one case, and we've got hundreds of thousands of kids worldwide that have had puberty blockers where nobody has done any longitudinal studies. So the answer to say, well, now we need some longitudinal studies. Let's allow puberty blockers in the UK and have it's basically just opening the door to crap again with no real protocol. So that whole concept of as a careful study, it's not ethical to sterilize kids. I mean, if sterilization is a risk potential, there is no there's no institutional review board or safety committee that would allow that protocol to get off the ground. So you can't do it. It's not ethical.
This brings me, I wasn't planning to ask this, but this brings me to something I tried to slip into an op-ed and they made me take it out. I frequently say that gender affirming care, so-called, this whole puberty suppression experiment, is as harsh as cancer treatment, in that when I was looking at the literature, pediatric fertility preservation, the only literature I found was on oncology and gender medicine, and there's with disorders of sexual development, but that I think is a naturally occurring infertility. And so there's only 2 areas of pediatrics where you'd sterilize a child, and that's cancer treatment and gender medicine. Am I correct?
That you are correct.
Right, that's what I thought.
And so you could say, as they tried to say, well, you're saving the life of this child who will die if you don't do this for them. In the cancer, that's pretty obvious. If the cancer doesn't kill them, it will certainly make them incredibly dysfunctional in so many ways in their life, really miserable. So there is a justification for saying we're going to keep you alive by accidentally sterilizing you because the treatment we're giving you is going to knock out your ovaries or testicles. They will not be functional. Or we're going to use radiation in the area of the neck for Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that's going to knock your pituitary gland out, and we could possibly...
Astral Aegis.
What?
Come here and bear arms!
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Dash, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a vertical strike to perform the diffuse counter move Lightning Hooves, greatly reducing monsters' astral aegis. While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Salve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a vertical strike to perform the diffuse counter move Crimson Burning Roar, significantly reducing monsters' astral aegis. The special vertical strike combo Summer Night Cry can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis. While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Salve.
The skies darken. My winds are ready.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move, Defuse Combo, helping you resist one attack. After resisting the attack, the defuse counter move Blazing Phoenix Flash will be used automatically, greatly reducing monsters' astral aegis.
Why are you attacking me?
The special horizontal strike combo Blazing Tempest can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis.
Let the booze flow!
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. The special vertical strike combo Severing Gust can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis. While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a vertical strike to perform the diffuse counter move Heavenly Flaming Strike, greatly reducing monsters' astral aegis. The special vertical strike combo Winter Frost can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis. Use horizontal strike during the blocking process of Diffuse Solve to unleash Dragon's Lair and its derivative move Naja's Might. Use vertical strike during Naja's Might to unleash Diffuse combo, allowing you to block one attack again.
armor restored. Set sail. Seems we have a supply shortage.
SS might for the fuse. doesn't swing.
While charging, press the other button, or use vertical strike after quick dash or Aegis break Martial's skill to trigger the special move diffuse dash, helping you dodge one attack automatically. While dodging, use a horizontal strike to perform the diffuse counter move So Break Tusk, greatly reducing monsters' astral Aegis.
Her diffusers are in the
The
air.
airborne quick dash combo Dancing Leaves can be used after an uppercut rush to significantly reduce monsters' astral Aegis.
ORT. Wow. Awesome. What's up, Golden Seraph? What's up?
Use horizontal strike after flash, showdown to unleash dancing leaves, and enter the airborne quick dash state.
Damn. RT. Nope, I fell up. That wasn't it. Okay, let's try that again. Oh no, where's my guide? Oh no, I lost my guide. Oh no, I have to go all the way back. Jeez. So I have to wait for the skill to reset every time. Gotta wait for the cooldown. This is where I was, right here. Dennis Unkai, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you, Nana, for liking the live.
While charging, press the other button, or use vertical strike after quick dash or Aegis break Marshall's skill to trigger the special move diffuse dash, helping you dodge one attack automatically. While dodging, use a horizontal strike to perform the diffuse counter move So Break Tusk, greatly reducing monsters' astral Aegis.
Beauty under fire!
Use horizontal strike after flash, showdown to unleash dancing leaves, and enter the airborne quick dash state.
You can't rush beauty.
Man, that sucks.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move defuse combo, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a horizontal strike to perform the defuse counter move Spirit Blade Seal, greatly reducing monsters' astral aegis.
Damn.
The special horizontal strike combo Yin Yang Seal can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis. Press another button while charging to use defuse. After a successful defuse, use vertical strike to unleash defuse combo, allowing you to block one attack again. While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move defuse combo, helping you block one attack automatically. During the blocking process, use vertical strike to perform the defuse counter move Annihilation Blade, significantly reducing the monster's astral aegis. The special vertical strike combo annihilation slash can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis.
My blade is ready to unsheath.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Defuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a vertical strike to perform the defuse counter move Vulpine Sigil, greatly reducing monsters' astral aegis. The special vertical strike combo Vermilion Coil can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis.
Let's go show them something fun.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse combo, helping you block one attack automatically. During the blocking process, use horizontal strike to perform the diffuse counter move 13 Celestial Marks, significantly reducing the monster's astral aegis. The special horizontal strike combo Celestial Passage can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis.
I can help more people now.
While charging, press the other button to use Diffuse. After a successful diffuse, use a vertical strike to perform diffuse counter moves, allowing you to block another attack. While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a vertical strike to perform the diffuse counter move Heavy Snow Chill. This move can be used repeatedly by continuously using vertical strikes. The special vertical strike combo Cross Skies can be used after a charged attack to significantly reduce monsters' astral aegis. While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move, Diffuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a horizontal strike to perform the diffuse counter move, significantly reducing monsters' astral aegis. The special horizontal strike combo can be used after a charged attack to effectively reduce monsters' astral aegis.
The blade sharp as ever.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Diffuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a horizontal strike to perform the diffuse counter move Wind Chaser, significantly reducing monsters' astral aegis.
I don't understand how this works. RB or RT. I didn't do shit. Change the hero, hello. Wing slash. Okay. I'll play it again. Oh, you charge your blade up. How do I do that? How do I set my blade on blue fire?
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Defuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a horizontal strike to perform the Diffuse counter move Wind Chaser, significantly reducing monsters' Astral Aegis.
Can you repeat that again?
My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy.
You only get one shot.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. The blade my blade knows no mercy.
I don't understand what they want me to do.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready. My blade knows no mercy.
What is it, dude?
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy.
What is it that it wants me to do?
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy.
I don't get it.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as my blade knows no mercy.
What happened there?
The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade, my blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp. My blade knows no mercy.
I don't understand.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy.
I thought their attack was gonna be interrupted.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as my blade knows no mercy. The blade my blade knows no mercy. I'm not ready yet. The blade sharp as ever.
Charge attack. Charge attacks when fighting large. Scaled monsters, large size monsters.
My blade knows no mercy.
I did use a charge attack.
The blade my blade knows no mercy.
I used use a charge attack then?
The blade sharp as my blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy.
I don't know. I don't understand that second
My
step.
blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp. My blade knows no mercy.
That shit doesn't make sense.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy.
If I use the vertical, it doesn't.
I'm
doesn't
ready.
really
My
hold
blade
it.
knows no mercy.
Why did that fail?
The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy.
I don't get it.
I'm ready now.
I'm gonna have to exit again. I don't know how to make it do the explanation again. How does it do the explanation? I don't know.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Defuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking,
I'm ready
use a
now.
horizontal strike to perform the Diffuse counter move Wind
I've
Chaser,
cut off your way
significantly
out.
reducing monsters' astral aegis.
Can I see that again? Do I have to like counter it?
My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy.
Why does it go away after I get knocked down?
The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now.
I go back. I have to go all the way out? That is so stupid. To go all the way out, dude. That's just annoying. My fucking mouse doesn't even work here. It looks like I have to counter the attack. Yeah. It looks like I have to counter the attack with the charge.
While charging, press the other button to trigger the special move Defuse Solve, helping you block one attack automatically. While blocking, use a horizontal strike to perform the Diffuse counter move Wind Chaser, significantly reducing monsters' Astral Aegis.
My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. Now. My blade knows no mercy.
So it like goes away, dude.
I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. The blade, my blade knows no mercy.
Why did it go away?
The blade sharp as ever. My blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. My blade knows no mercy.
I'm charging with the thing and it just goes away.
I'm ready now.
Like in under 1 second.
My blade knows no mercy.
See that? See how it just went away?
The blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. White blade knows no mercy.
I don't know, dude.
I'm ready now. White blade knows no mercy.
Did it again. Just went off.
The blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy.
Did it again. I don't know what the fuck is up with this.
I'm ready now. White blade knows no mercy.
That wasn't even good enough.
The blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp. White blade knows no mercy.
There
the blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy. I'm ready now. White blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy. The blade sharp as ever. White blade knows no mercy.
Okay. Man, that was a pain in the ass.
While charging, tap another button to enable the special technique, diffuse, solve or dodge while charging to use a diffuse dash. Diffuse, solve and diffuse dash can automatically neutralize an attack, and during this move, you can use vertical strike to cast Devastator Tiger, dealing massive damage to monsters' astral aegis. This move can be enhanced by charging.
I think I've done this.
Special combo Ripper Claw released after a charged attack can effectively reduce monsters' astral aegis. This move can be enhanced by charging. Diffuse dash can be triggered by taking damage during wild sweep. Akos whose martial skills can be charged. And wild sweep increases their charging levels.
Let's uncage the tiger.
Oh my god. How weird.
Martial skills used during Feral Frenzy Showdown will be instantly boosted to the maximum charging level.
Face the might of a ferocious tiger! And you thought I was dangerous before! And you thought I was dangerous before! And you thought I was dangerous before!
Whew. Oh god. Lightning hooves, huh? Oh, I've seen this. I'm gonna leave it here. Alright, guys. Have a good one.